Hey, what's up y'all, it's Marcus. So today's video is part 2 of the beauty glamour shoot that I did. Now this is going to be in my online class. I'm going to teach you how to light this and edit this, but these are images that I took from this shoot, and I was taking it with the R5, the 85 1.2, and with the GFX system. The top of the line lenses there, the 80 1.7 and the 110 f2. So I'm going to show you what it's like working with both systems and let you make your decision on which one may be good for you. Is one too slow? Are the images really that much better? You may be surprised, so let's get into this. Please go to ProPhotoEdits.com where you can download my Lightroom presets and Photoshop actions. And I just want to remind you guys that my online creative lighting and editing course is up right now. I get asked about this every single day on Instagram. If you're not following me, the link will be down below. But how do you get these in-camera effects? I don't do any of this in Photoshop. This is all done in camera. So I put 12 courses in here, 12 different photo shoots, and I explain what tools I use to get these looks in camera. And I usually just use one light. Sometimes I use one light and one LED, but I don't have a dynamic lighting setup. Everything you're looking at here right now is explained in the course. We're over, I think, 300 or 400 people in the course right now, so it's really growing and people are really happy with this. And we've just added some extra things that you're looking at right now with the light throwing technique, all done in camera. So you get the raw files, the Lightroom presets, the Photoshop actions, screen recording. I have me editing these looks that you're looking at now, and I've also included a new creative gelling course to get you these looks like this in camera, so consider that. Okay, first of all, we're going to look at the RF 1.2 and how it focuses on the R5. Now, I just want to let you guys know that I love both systems. The GFX is good for what it's really good for me. This is not trying to tell you to buy one or the other, but I own both, still own both, still love both. But I want to share with you why I usually prefer the R5 for this type of situation. And you can make your own mind up whether medium format is good enough for this type of situation for you. So look at the R5. So this is what I want to get you to understand and how I think. As you watch this, you can see that I'm not having to move any focus points. The eye autofocus is always accurate at 1.2. I mean, always. I say 99.9% of the time, till I don't ever zoom in and chimp and check the actual focus. And she's kind of freestyling. Some models, clients, whatever, they need to move, and I want to get the shots in between the actual shots where I'm just, I'm taking more shots than I actually need here, but I'm also kind of dialing in my light. But as you watch, you're gonna see sometimes you get a shot that's just the right expression. And I have the auto review set up on my camera so I can see if my lighting is perfect, where it's hitting and where it's laying on the face, so I can make adjustments, and it just pops up real quick, press the button and it goes away. But I'm not having to move any focus points, and I could rapid fire as many shots as I wanted to just to get that expression. Now we're moving on to the 81.7, and it is at f2, but this is the 81.7 lens on the GFX S2. So 50S2, I should say. But one thing you want to make note of here is I do have to rearrange the focus point, right? It's not just going to keep her eyeball in the middle of the frame. So that's one thing that slows it down a little bit, because autofocus is really awful on there, and I know it is not a deal breaker. I knew what it was when I got it. And then there's that second part to the scenario here, where is the stutter. Once I press, see that breathing? Moving closer, it's got to go to infinity back and then get it, and it's not quite as accurate also, but I probably missed that shot because it didn't turn green. So she has to kind of break what she's doing and moving around freely to kind of slow down for me, because every time I move back, move forward, I have to find the eye, moving my little focus point around, and with the thumbstick, which if you have both options in your hand, and then I get closer and I have to go to infinity and back, and that's kind of what it's like using the 81.7 on the GFX, right? The blackout is a little bit worse than the R5, obviously. Now with the 110, this is probably a better representation for you guys from yesterday, if you can really see the difference between the 80 and the 110. It's faster. I'm moving around a little bit quicker. It's not that pulsating thing at the end, and if it does lose her, like right there, it'll find her a lot quicker once I get my focus point where I want it to go. So I enjoy working with the 110 better for shoots like this, where I want to let the model be a little bit free and I can get those in between shots. Still have to move the focus point around, obviously, but if it does have to go to infinity and back, which it doesn't quite as often, it's faster. The pulsating is faster. Watch right there. Boom. That was way faster than the 80 going to infinity and back. So that's the difference in using these cameras for me. File wise, we're going to get into that in a second, but that frustrates me a lot. A lot of people know this already. You're like, why are you saying this? Because we own a GFX, we know, but a lot of people don't own a GFX yet, and they want to know, is it worth it? Will I be upset if I put money into this, and if I have to slow my whole pace down and deal with taking less images? And certain people like to move fast. It is what it is. You tell them to slow down and the magic is gone. So now let's look at some of the images, and you can see if you have to work slower, is it worth it? Okay guys, so let's get into this file comparison here, and I'm going to do a little bit of file comparison because the last video I did compression and where I like to not go beyond with the 80mm with a wider lens, wider on the GFX I should say, because it's like a 67 on a full frame, if you will. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that today. I will do a little bit of that, but I just want to show you and let you see, do you think the files are that much better for having to work slower, in this type of scenario? I know outdoor natural light changes everything. When you have time to work, the files on the GFX are much easier to manipulate, but there's trade-offs. So I just want to show you here, shooting with the R5, a bunch of random images. I'm just like getting all the moments in between the moments, right? All the moments in between the moments. Boom, looking, she's posing, she's doing all types of stuff, and I'm going through the entire setup here, getting a lot of images that I really like. So I'm not missing any shots either. I'm moving closer, I'm going back. It's a shot that I really like a lot. Just so many different shots that is not holding me back. That was one of my favorites. Another one of my favorites, that one I edited, that'll be in the class soon to show you how to do that. I mean, I would have missed this. She only had her hand up there for a few seconds, and I could say, do that look again, but it might not be the same. You know what I mean? Sometimes they hit it the first time and they're like, I'm taking extra shots that I don't necessarily need here, but I mean, this shot I wouldn't have got that because it's just spur of the moment stuff, and that's the type of stuff that you don't necessarily get when you're shooting with the GFX. And I haven't put a preset on any of these yet, or except that one I did. So just working with this system is a lot better. So just to show you, add a camera on the R5. That's that, and then I put one of my presets on there as my starting point, my blanket starting point for editorial shoots. And just you notice that I'd probably cool this down a little bit, but if you're going into the preset batch and you're going, this was editorial glow or editorial mint mocha out of my PPE editorial volume 1 set. Not trying to sell you guys that, I'm just showing you what before and after kind of looks like raw file coming out of the actual camera, and I'll show you that with the GFX too. Now there's nothing really that I would say needs to be tweaked with these files, honestly. They just look they look really good. There's with the preset on, and they edit well on the R5, and I'm hitting shots in between the shots, and I don't have to chimp and check the actual focus. So that's point number one. So now let's get into some of the files compared side by side, and you can actually see, are the GFX files better for this studio strobe type of lighting where you don't need all the dynamic range in the world? And you tell me. I don't care what your opinion is. I mean, I do care. I don't want to sound like an ass. I'm just saying it's not going to offend me one way or the other. I don't care what you use or what you buy. The art of photography has nothing to do with gear. I mean, unless your gear sucks and it can't hit a shot, then you're in trouble. But so let's get into looking at this, and put your comments down below what you prefer, and do you think it's even worth it to have medium format at this point. So let's get into it. Okay guys, so file comparison here. I'm not going to pick my favorite images. You've seen those edited in the beginning of the video, and I'll flash them again now just for reminder's sake. But the GFX is going to be over here, and this is going to be the 80 to start off with, and then we're going to go into the 110. So the 80mm 1.7 wide open, and then over here on the left hand side, and I'll put on the bottom of the screen, is going to be the 85 1.2 RF, the regular version, the RF, not the DS version. And so same preset applied. And so I want to let you guys know that I'm only going to touch on this briefly, the facial shape that you can see from the 80mm, because this is just like a files comparison. Do you think medium format is better, yada yada yada. But I will note that the 110 is going to be the better comparison for comparison's sake to the 85, because when you get this close, you can see the distortion is starting to happen in the face. I would say this looks like two different people almost, because this isn't so much my opinion, but it does change the shape of your face on the 80 when you get closer, because it's a wider lens. So let's just go in and look at each lens at their wide open point and see what you guys think. They're both really sharp, really sharp. The depth of field is similar. You can see one of them going out of focus here on the chin. Yeah, they're both kind of going out of focus on the chin, and similar framing. So the fall off is, it's not going to happen at the exact same point, but it's really nice on both. It's not jarring on either one of them, and the clarity is there on both. I wouldn't necessarily say one of them's sharper than the other, because on the 80 1.7, you got to remember, this is in focus, the eye is, but I can't guarantee that it's 100% right on the actual iris, because it's not a foolproof system like seemingly the R5 is. But file wise, is there really that much difference strobed in the studio? I would say absolutely not. And the joy of shooting quicker for me, and I'm doing this video because people ask me all the time, you own the GFX, why do you always post R5 photos in the studio? I thought that was a studio-based camera, and for me it's not as much a studio-based camera as it is an outdoor camera for me, because of the dynamic range and finding yourself in midday city light. You can do cool tricks with harsh light and always pull the photos back much more than I can with any full frame, the mighty Z7 included. So there you have it. Now let's go over here and let's find a file, and I'll give you a couple more comparisons if you want to stick around. Let's find a file that is a 110 file. Okay, so now we're getting a lot closer in actual distortion and lack thereof distortion. This is almost the same shot, you know, for each system. I can't say that I prefer one over the other. I think the 110 shot looks a little bit better to me, not file wise, but just like a better shot. And then we'll zoom in and see. Now you're getting back into the situation of, I didn't totally hit the shot on the 110. This eye is a little bit more in focus, and you saw me, and I never focus on the back eye. I just don't do it. But that doesn't mean that the camera, you know, for whatever reason, I'm moving, she's moving, probably her, because she likes to move around a lot, and that's how you get the best images with certain models. But just The file wise, there's not that big a difference, you know, color rendition, there's really not that big a difference. To me, I like the 110 file better there, and I should say the GFX file better there. Let me see if I can find another shot that's in focus so you can see how sharp the actual, yeah, look how sharp the 110 is when it hits. It's uber sharp, but not in a crispy, crunchy, nasty way. It still has, there's no noise reduction applied to this or anything like that. This is just that lens and how it renders. It's really, really, really a nice lens. Now I'll go back here on the R5 and see if I can find something. It's probably going to be lit a little bit different that was that close. So just to drop my last point about the wider lenses, even though that's a kind of follow up to yesterday's video. The 80 over here with 1.7, 85 RF at 1.2 on the R5, and you can see I'm framed similar, you know, distances, less distortion. Let's just call it that. The face looks more flattering here. The face is a little bit, I would say, being pulled towards the camera a little bit. Now in a vacuum you won't notice it as much, you know, but 85 has been like the sweet spot, and 110 on the GFX for me for portrait work. You can even go 105 on the full frame system for portrait work, but I tend to go back to 85 sometimes. But there you have it, you guys. I hope you found this useful, and maybe a lot of people that are on the fence saying, you know, the medium format is head and shoulders above the full frame equivalents in this day and age for studio work. I would say absolutely not. It's not. Shoot what you love, shoot what you're comfortable with. I'm not trying to down one or the other. I own them both and I haven't sold either one of them. I use them and I get excited to use them both, right? But you know, they don't, gear doesn't make the photo. If you're lusting after a GFX body or a full frame medium format, you don't necessarily need it at all, you know. But when you go outdoors and you start shooting in natural light, and I have some comparisons on that coming up shortly as I'm doing my 100 S versus the 50 S2. I'm also doing the R5 included in that, so I can actually show you guys what natural light photos look like on both, and I'll have that coming up for you guys shortly. But until next time, it's Marcus. I love you guys. Stay tuned for the portrait class coming up, and hopefully I can get people up to speed on how to take flattering beauty portraits from A to Z. I love you guys. See you next time. It's Marcus.